In this video, we're going to show you how to flash Betaflight and deal with all this stuff. Anytime you are flashing Betaflight up from the current release on your flight controller, you want to make sure you have the latest configurator before you do that. I will drop the link down below to this website, and you can see here, this is where you can download the configurators. On here, you can see at the time of the recording of this video, we are on 10.9, release candidate 2 that I need to download. Down below the release announcement, you can expand assets. And in here, you have your permanent install versions of it. You even have one for your Android phone you can put on there. And then there is the portable release where you can just download that, unzip that to a folder on your computer and just run the executable right from the unzip directory. Before you flash any flight controller up, you want to connect with the newly downloaded configurator you have to your old flight controller. Click on the presets tab here and go over to save backup, and then save this backup file somewhere on your computer. You can access it later. Now that that's done, we're going to go up to the update firmware button up here. And then at the top, we can hit auto detect. Alternatively, you can connect back to your flight controller and look right up at the top here, and it should have the target name here as well. Now in this drop down right here, you can see all the versions of the stable releases of Betaflight you can select. But if you would want to install a release candidate, so something that's not a stable release yet, but it's about to be released, you can go up here and click show unstable releases, and then change this drop down from releases to releases and release candidates. And then you can see at this one, we're going to load up Betaflight 4.4 RC1. Now, if you don't want to deal with all these options down here, you can always just click on the classic mode and then go down here and just click load firmware online. And that will load up the classic builds of Betaflight and then just hit flash firmware. Now, if you did want to get into the cloud building options here, basically you can take out certain things that you know you're not going to need. So for example, here, I don't have a ghost protocol for this. The flight controller I'm doing this has a built-in Express LRS receiver. So in reality, I can take out S-Bus. I'm not going to need that. I'm not going to need Crossfire. I am going to need Express LRS, so that's what I'll use there. Over on this side, I know I'm not going to be using smart port telemetry, so I can take that out, and you can see different telemetry protocols you hear for different types of radio protocols. I'm not using any of those. Again, I'm just using Express LRS, so I'm good on this option. Of course, in this drop-down selection, there are a bunch of different radio protocol types, so you can select the one that you need. As I mentioned before, I'm Express LRS, so I'm just going to select that. Down here, you shouldn't have to really click on this, but these are your different motor protocols. If you do have a brushed whoop instead of brushless, so that might be something that's a little different. You take off the D shot and click on brushed. But if most multi-rotors nowadays are going to be using D shot as their flavor of choice for motor protocol, so you could probably just leave that alone. But again, brushed whoops would be the one where you might have to change that. Finally, over here on the options, you can see there's a bunch of different stuff. And if you are flashing a flight controller that has a barometer, things of that nature, and you're not using the classic, which just loads everything, then you would have to pick what you want to use here. If you have a drone that you want to use GPS on, you click that, make sure Barrow. If you need onboard flash for black box logging, that's what that is. Of course, OSD support for either analog or digital. VTX support. Now, you'd only need that if you have an analog receiver. So if you have digital, you could take that off. Pin IO is pretty customized, so if you need that, that's an option there. Again, all these options, when you pick classic mode, are just all included. Now, one big difference between having the classic or the cloud building version of it is you might get to a point with future flashing of Betaflight where you go to flash the classic and it just runs out of space. There's not enough space on your flight controller to have it build and fit. In that case, you would have to uncheck the classic mode, and usually probably should be able to just build this right away, because as you can see, the default selection that I had here didn't have everything included to begin with. So at that point, you just uncheck that and hit load firmware online, and you should be in good shape because it would be a smaller size. But you may have to customize it like we just showed here with me having to select the Express LRS. Finally, just one housekeeping item. When you select Barrow, GPS, or magnetometer, that loads all the different drivers that Betaflight knows about for the different devices out there. When you hit flash, it is just loading the specific flash chip for your specific flight controller, or just the driver for the specific flash chip. If you would flash up and notice some things aren't being recognized, like maybe your flash chip anymore, or for some reason your Barrow is not being recognized, you can always go back in, and as long as you have the space, click on the classic mode, and again, that just loads everything. If you do have a flight controller with a built-in SPI receiver, like this one uses Express LRS, you will not be able to use the classic mode here. You will have to come down and select the Express LRS as your protocol. You can clear out the other ones and then go ahead and hit load firmware online. Now, when that's done flashing, you're going to go up and hit connect. And then after that, you'll be presented with this dialog. Always apply custom defaults. So click that. After it applies it, it will reconnect to the flight controller. You can see here you have to calibrate the accelerometer as the next thing. So you're going to lay your quad flat on the desk and then just go hit calibrate accelerometer here, and that will get it all squared away, and that message won't come up anymore. Now, if you wanted to load that backup file you had saved, you can do that, but there is some commands you do not want to bring over from one release to the next. I will drop a link down in the video description to this website, and it might vary a little bit from release to release as this video ages, and it will clear out some of the things that you should not migrate forward, and in that case, you might have to set up a couple of things. But generally what you want to do is open your backup file. It's just a text file, so you can open that up. Just Control A to select everything in it, hit C or Control C for copy, and then you can bring that over into this window and paste in all that information. At this point down here, you can look down at the bottom, and this is where it varies a little bit. So check out the video description for the different safe and unsafe items to go from different releases up. But I know going from Betaflight 3.3 to 3.4, for example, we have to take name out of the top up here, add anti-name signature down here, and then rate profile 3 and rate profile 4. And with those entered, we can go back up to the top here and hit get safe. And then that will copy everything to the clipboard, basically convert this and take out the stuff that's unsafe and leave the stuff that is safe to bring forward into the new release. Once that's in your clipboard, you can go bring up Notepad and paste that in, and then you can see here how it's taken out some of the unsafe things. And then we're going to go save that somewhere to our computer, and we'll import that into the new release of Betaflight. Once you have your file, come back into Betaflight, go into the Presets tab, hit Load Backup, and select the file you just made from that website. Congratulations, you're done. Thanks, and I hope this helped.